The Habs make some more, maybe surprising roster moves as the final roster and lines for the regular season are revealed in today's practice. We'll be diving into that, what it means for the power play and special teams, plus Habs prospect Lane Hutson already has won his first Player of the Week of the season. All of that on this episode of Habs Digest. Let's get right into Lane Hutson first, Jesse. And look, every time, how many times did we do this last year, right? We didn't have to wait long this year to hear Lane Hutson already is starting hot. Now, I think they've only played one regular season game and he had a goal, but the preseason he was doing some crazy stuff. But yeah, congrats to Lane Hutson on being named Hockey East Player of the Week. Player of the Week for his conference already, the first week of the season. And he has looked really, really good, Jesse. I mean, I know Grant McCagg had a tweet saying he saw Lane Hutson get more touches than anyone else he's ever seen play in that game. He said something like 270 touches, which seems a bit weird to me, but it's Grant McCagg. You can't take that seriously, but still. Lane Hutson scored a nice goal from the point. He has looked so dominant already, and boy, things just seem to be getting better and better for him every single day.
Definitely. No, he's continuing where he left off from last season already scoring a game-winning goal, like no big deal. Just classic Lane Hutson almost at this point, from just kind of covering him for the second year now. So no, just amazing to see from him. I think he's really going to continue to develop even more. We saw amazing things from him last year, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're just going to see a whole lot more from him this year, and I'm really excited from that.
Yeah, realistically, like he could put on some crazy pace, right? Like he was outpacing Adam Fox. He was outpacing a lot of NCAA defenseman records last year, and I feel like we can just see more of that this year, Jesse. I mean, at this point, I know the Habs have a lot of depth at the defensive position, but in theory, after his college season is over, and especially if the Habs, as the season goes on towards the end, if they're not in the playoff spot, whatever, do you see a world where they're just like, all right, we're going to open up a spot for you, Lane, even though they have some good defensive depth?
I think they want to see where he's at,
Mm-hmm.
like they've done with, Jordan Harris in the past. Even if we're bringing them in for a couple games, not only is this great for their development to now know, okay, in the offseason, this is what I need to improve on. This is what I need to train on, to be ready for next season. So I think that would be huge for him. Of course, the big caveat with Lane is always like the size. Is he going to be big enough? Are we kind of exposing him a little bit too early to the elements, so to speak? But I think this guy's just showing he has all the skill in the world. Don't worry about Lane Hutson on the ice. He can take care of himself, just fine. So I think the Habs management will recognize that. And it's a great point, Josh. I think we will see Lane Hutson in a Habs jersey by the end of this year. How crazy is that?
Well, it's insane, right? We've been talking about this guy, I mean, since the channel started, basically, and I'm so excited for him. And yeah, already showing out basically week one in his season. Let's get into the interesting stuff. We got a lot to talk about here, Jesse. This is going to make up the rest of the video. There's a lot of moves made in the last couple of days. Of course, Joel Armia being cut yesterday, being waived, and we don't know yet. I don't think he was claimed. I'm not sure, but we might find that out at 5 o'clock today. Not really sure, but as of recording of this video, we're not sure. But the Habs made some more moves today, and that was waiving Emil Heineman and Mattias Norlinder. A lot of people thought Mattias Norlinder might make the squad, Jesse, but no, he didn't. We also thought maybe Heineman with the waiving of Joel Armia, but it doesn't seem like that's the case, as both get sent back down to Laval. Now, they are both waiver exempt, so they could come back up at some point this season. You gotta think there's going to be a shot for at least one of them, especially when maybe a player has a rest day or there's a slight injury. But as of now, here are the final rosters, and these are the lines from practice today. We got Caufield, Suzuki, Anderson on the top line. I feel like maybe Anderson's there just because we opened the season against the Leafs, and he'll have like a hat trick and 6 assists. Second line, Newhook, Dach, Slafkovsky, which we saw in the preseason. Didn't really work that well, but they're going to try it again. Pearson, Monahan, Gallagher. Fourth line of Harvey, Pinard, Evans, and then Ullinen or Pizzetta. And we got Matheson, Savard, Guhle, Kovacevic. Xhekaj with Harris and Barron, as Barron makes the team over Mattias Norlinder. Jesse, what is kind of your first impressions of this? Were you a bit surprised when the Habs waived Heineman and Norlinder? Because I thought maybe one of them would get a shot on the team to start the season.
What's interesting, it's they're wanting to be patient. Like, I totally get it for sure, even though maybe in my heart of hearts I would maybe want, especially Mattias Norlinder to get that shot first. But you have to feel like Barron, it's all about asset management, right? And you have to feel like it wouldn't be the case, but it's almost like you're like Habs management is giving up on the player just with so many deep prospects. If we were to send him down to the AHL, so it makes sense. He's further along in his player progression, as an NHL player. Let's see where he's at, but I mean, notice has definitely been served, right? I don't think anybody needs to tell that to Justin Herron, Jordan Harris, and even some other defenders with the Habs. It's like, we got a bunch of young guys that are ready to play that, if they're not playing their best hockey, I definitely think that that Norlinder is going to, definitely going to come for that spot. But getting back to like the roster construction of those first two lines, like you got to feel like, okay, again, you get where they're coming from. Like they're putting their most skilled guys in those top six roles. And of course, the analytic numbers aren't the best for Anderson, Suzuki, and Caufield together. But, at the same time, it's like, Anderson still is that 21 goal scorer. And what they're trying to do with this, I really believe the whole reasoning behind this is to really balance out your skill and your size. Because both of them is important. If you have too much skill without any size, that's great. But if you have a lot of size without any skill, well, that doesn't necessarily work either, right? So on that first line with Anderson, of course, Caufield's the smallest guy there. Nick Suzuki, he's still got an okay size, but still benefits from having a big winger like Anderson there. And then you got now on the second line with Newhook, him being a smaller player. Now you have two bigger guys that he's playing with in Kirby, Dach, and Slafkovsky. And I absolutely love, Josh, the fact that Slaf is playing on this second line, that they're letting Slafzilla loose from the beginning of the season. Yeah, cue the animation.
I don't have it yet. We'll have it for the season.
We'll have it ready for next.
Yeah.
Right? I know. I'm really excited to see that, though. They're giving them that opportunity to succeed right off the bat. Like, I don't want to say the word Alexis Lafreniere, it's like, it's not the same thing, but it's like, you got to give the opportunity for them to play higher up in the lineup. You got with the skill guys, of course, with the New York Rangers and Lafreniere is maybe an issue where, was so jammed up ahead of them. But with the Habs, you got to play, Slafkovsky with those skill guys. But what I'm really seeing from this as well, Josh, is there's that opening for Slaf. If he has a good quarter half of the season, like he could, replace Josh Anderson on that first line. We know that the analytics aren't the best there. Anderson could then come down onto that second line as well. I could see that working really well. So I really like that they're just creating an opportunity for him to succeed. They sheltered him a little bit this year. Now they're just ready to let him run free.
Yeah, I mean, we saw obviously Anderson and Newhook have a ton of chemistry together, but maybe we'll see that eventually. And you got to think these lines are going to change up, Jesse. There's going to be so much experimentation, just like last year. And to touch a bit on the Barron and Norlinder situation as well. Yes, Norlinder had the better preseason than Barron, and Barron looked a little lost, that's for sure. But you got to remember, like last year, a lot of Habs fans, including us, were quite excited because Barron looked quite good. He was scoring at a decent rate. He looked like he was definitely going to crack the roster the next season. And while Norlinder last year in Laval just didn't look comfortable and couldn't get anything going. So one little preseason, while I'm sure, like you said, the notice is sent to Justin Barron, like you're on the hot seat. Matthias Norlinder still, like, just look at their body of work so far. It makes more sense for now for the Habs to be like, okay, we'll give the benefit of the doubt to Justin Barron. So it's very interesting decision. But we're going to transition a bit from the actual lineup to some power plays. And they revealed these lines too, Jesse, and it's a bit exciting. So Arber Xhekaj, at least now as of practice, the first power play is Matheson, Caufield, Dach, Suzuki, Monahan. Maybe no surprises there. The second power play, Xhekaj, Newhook, Anderson, Slaf, and Gallagher. So we see Slaf on the second power play. We see Newhook, the newcomer, on the second power play. And most importantly, we see Arber Xhekaj. And actually, Marty St. Louis had this to say. His shot is heavy. It's not just a slap shot. He has a heavy wrister that's quick off his stick. He's able to get it through. We're anticipating Xhekaj being in the lineup. We want to make sure he gets some reps and be that guy. So you got to think this might have played into the Norlinder decision as well, that they definitely want to go with Xhekaj as their power play 2 guy. But what I'm also interested in, you can take a look at those power plays, whatever. I'm glad Slaf is there. Newhook's there. Awesome. But at this point, the underlying metrics for Anderson, I understand Anderson 20 goal scorer. He maybe should be there. But Gallagher, like, just looking at the metrics, Gallagher's much better 5-on-5 than on the power play over the last number of seasons. And Harvey Pinard is quite a solid power play player, especially when he was getting reps. At this point, I feel like I'd like to see Harvey Pinard on the power play over Gallagher. Again, Gallagher's the vet and coaching staff knows best, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to see RHP continue his somewhat reign of terror on the Habs power play.
I get where you're coming from because, our power play is in desperate need of all the help that it can get, right? And you would feel, it's more maybe of like a respect nod to kind of letting Gallagher get that opportunity. But you have to feel like at present time, based off of merit, that RHP definitely deserves that spot. So that'll definitely be something important to get right. How they use Gallagher will be very important on that second power play unit. Now, if they're having him in front of the net, that would be key. I would say that they definitely need to start having a little bit more of that net front presence, so whether that's Gallagher or somebody else, that'll definitely be very important.
Yeah, 100%. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they formulate that going forward. Slafkovsky too, you got to think that maybe he might start getting some reps in front of the net. because he's such a big body, right? And we see him a lot of the time on the right side, especially in the preseason, looking for that kind of one-time shot. But I feel like someone like him, Jesse, his 2 goals in the preseason were both scrappy goals off rebounds in front of the net. And I feel like putting him on the power play in that spot would be great. And I know that's kind of Gallagher's bread and butter. That's what he's been doing for like a decade now. But you got to think that Slav might be able to get those reps at some point just because of what he's shown already.
It's so true. Get them both in front of the net for all I care. We need more of that net front presence. It's so true. But, that's definitely where Slafkovsky's going to be rewarded. That's where he's going to have success as an NHL player, not just in the regular season, but most importantly in the playoffs, right? That's how you score. That's the way he's really got to play, right? And the finesse will come from there, but it's just about getting those fundamentals down right. So love to see him in front of that net.
It's going to be interesting. There's so much, playing around with the team that we're going to see this year. We're going to see so many different power play 1, power play 2s, but let us know what you think of the lines. Are you disappointed Norlinder didn't make the team? Are you kind of surprised that Xhekaj, our boy, is going to be pretty much the full-time power play 2 guy? Let us know down below because it's super exciting to be a Habs fan right now. Young team, so much promise, but we can't wait for Wednesday. That'll do it for this news episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 10,000. We love the support we're getting. Last video went crazy. We hope that continues for a long, long time. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.